Our post-game coverage continues. Stephen A.Smith is here. We heard Tim Legler's opinion, Stephen A. We just heard from Coach Budenholzer. I'll ask you the same thing. It's 76-61. We're 12 minutes away from a Game 7 back here stateside. What happened?
Well, first of all, I think, listen, we're going to talk about Kawhi Leonard because he's reestablished himself as the superstar we knew him to be. Finishing with 27 and 17, some big-time plays down the stretch, no question. But to me, the unsung hero of the game was Fred VanVleet, coming off the bench, drilling about 4 3-pointers. He had a hot hand. And you look at Kyle Lowry, he was making some threes as well. But to get that contribution from VanVleet and Kyle Lowry really saved the day, because throughout the game, Kyle Lowry really looked tired. And so when you look at it from that perspective, you just got to give credit where credit is due. Kyle Lowry, he stepped up. VanVleet stepped up. Kawhi Leonard is who he is. And the Milwaukee Bucks just couldn't hit shots when it really counted from the perimeter. And I think that's the story of this game.
VanVleet had 14 points. By the way, even if Giannis goes on to win the NBA's MVP, it'll be unveiled next month at the NBA Awards. This is a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow. What do you make of the way his season ended and the way he played in particular the last couple games?
Listen, the bottom line is this. He's a tremendous talent. You're talking about the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's a tremendous talent. There's no question. Going to the hole, he's pretty unguardable. Can't guard him one-on-one. But when you put a wall up against him, and it's led by Kawhi Leonard trying to disrupt his dribble drive penetration, the guys he was kicking it out to were not hitting perimeter shots with regularity. There was no definitive secondary offensive option. Even though Chris Middleton finished with 14 points and was hitting shots early, he was nowhere to be found late in the game as it waned when it really counted most. And so when you look at it from that perspective, they've got to go back to the drawing board. He's a tremendous talent, but he's raw. He's got to improve his perimeter game, his perimeter shooting game. He's got to improve his free throw shooting. And more importantly, they got to get some other kind of playmaker so he can be down in the post instead of trying to dribble into 2, 3, and 4 guys in order to create opportunities for himself or to create open shots for perimeter players who can't seem to do anything when you get up on them, press them, and force them to put the ball on the floor. You're going to have to get another playmaker in Milwaukee and a perimeter shooter that can actually do so off the dribble while creating his own shot instead of relying on a Greek freak to do so. They've got to go back to the drawing board. He's got to go back to the drawing board, but it's a lesson to be learned. His upside is tremendous. Nobody can deny that.
No doubt about it. Stephen A., one more for you before we let you go live from Toronto. We've been talking about the Warriors literally for the last 5 years, but now we got to talk about a finals matchup that involves somebody other than LeBron for the Dubs. Give me your early read here. Raptors versus Warriors. What are we looking for?
I'll be happy if the series goes 6 games. I was wrong about this series initially because I picked Milwaukee, and obviously I fell on a sword of ignorance like most people because we thought their size and what have you would be too much for Toronto to overcome. But I'm certainly going to go down with the ship that is the Golden State Warriors. I don't give a damn what's going on here tonight. It's a beautiful scene. It's a beautiful thing for the country of Canada. We get it. The crowd, the fans were fantastic. There were 16,000 people cheering outside in Jurassic Park. They expanded it. It usually only hold 3,000 to 5,000. Everybody was out here. Everybody in this building was rocking. I'm glad they enjoyed the moment. It was touching. It really was. It felt like they won a championship tonight, and I don't blame them, because that's the only time they're going to feel that way. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson's coming into the house. Draymond Green, the way he's playing, is coming into the house. You're not going to see the Golden State Warriors be devoid of having personnel that can hit perimeter shots. What Milwaukee struggled with is Golden State's specialty. And with that in mind, I have to give Golden State the edge. Kawhi Leonard pulls this off and beats the Golden State Warriors with or without KD. He beats the Golden State Warriors. Let me tell you something right now. Whatever we're praising about Kawhi Leonard today is going to elevate exponentially if he pulls this off. Because anybody that knows basketball, I don't know how you can see them pulling off a victory over the Golden State Warriors. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. Not the way Klay's been playing and the way Steph has been playing. And, oh, by the way, Klay has attitude, and he should, after getting robbed and screwed over by not being on any All-NBA team. He's got attitude, Steph's got attitude, and Golden State is out to prove that with or without Kevin Durant and Boogie Cousins, they can three-peat. Toronto, good luck, and I'm glad you enjoyed yourself tonight. because I don't see it happening moving forward.
All right, so the Raptors at 58 wins, the Warriors at 57, which is why Game 1 on Thursday will be where Stephen A. is standing. The one and only Stephen A. Smith, bringing it only the way he can here on SportsCenter. Can't wait for next Thursday night, Stephen A. Thanks very much. All right, so here you go. We are set for the Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors again. Let's go back to November 29th. We're in a situation here between Golden State and Toronto, one of their 2 regular season meetings, and obviously Drake in the house. And you know, this is obviously an early test, right? Kawhi's a rental player. He's there for 1 year, maybe more. Durant, same deal, approaching free agency. Like Leonard, final stages of the game, final seconds, Durant in the corner, got it. And we're tied at 119 in the regular season. If we get this kind of drama in late May that we got in November, that's something. In overtime, at the very arena, they'll play Game 1, knotted at 123. Kawhi with the ball, pushing, looking, firing, and the Raptors, you wouldn't know at this particular time that this would be a finals matchup. Masai was hoping for it. Nick Nurse was hoping for it. And the Raptors got him early. Rematch December 12th. This was obviously in the Bay Area. What would happen here? Again, because this is the East and the West, we only get 2, so this is a small sample size at best. This game was on ESPN on a Wednesday night, and the Raptors were running away with it early. Siakam was great. Leonard was great. Mentioned this year, the Warriors lost 6 games this year at home by at least 20 points. Think about that. It doesn't happen very often. This was one of those. Toronto, the second team to sweep Golden State in the regular season in all the time Steve Kerr has been there. Finals preview, head-to-head. We just showed it to you. Raptors won in overtime at home, won comfortably by the Bay. They were able to put up 122 points. Obviously, outscoring the Warriors is no small task. They were great from downtown and better than the best three-point shooting team, according to many, from downtown. Again, Game 1 in Toronto, 9 Eastern on ABC, with the Warriors looking for 4 and 5 and the Raptors looking for their first ever. Okay, so we got Stephen A's early thoughts on these two. What are your early thoughts on the Warriors and the Raptors?
Yeah, I kind of see it going similarly. I think I can see a 6-game series out of this. I'm not going to discount Toronto like a lot of people are going to and think that this is going to be easy pickings for the Golden State Warriors because of the rest and just because of their style of play. I think the way that Kawhi Leonard is playing right now, he has played in this postseason like the best player in the NBA. And he's doing it on both ends. When you add in what he does defensively and also the way he has become a fourth-quarter money player, to me, his physical skills and the way that this team can play when you have role players making shots the way that they did to close out this series, that's a team that can stick around. Definitely, I think, win a couple of games, and there's going to be a couple other pretty hairy moments for the Golden State Warriors. Ultimately, you have to believe in this team because of style of play and the talent at the top, and also the unpredictability, Zubin, when you play this team, because you don't know where the ball is going to be, because they move it through the air, they move it with their bodies. It's a lot different than predicting or planning for a play set and knowing exactly what you're going to do. Golden State doesn't allow you to do that because of the way they pass it, move it, chase it, and shoot it. So ultimately, you have to favor the Warriors.
Real quick, Raptors postgame is coming. Hang tight with us on SportsCenter. But the guy leading the Raptors is probably, to many NBA fans, one of the most anonymous coaches in the league. He coached in 5 different countries. He was a player coach in England. He's the G League's first real success story. Tell me something about Nick Nurse, who has led the Raptors to a place nobody's ever been in franchise history.
A whole lot of people woke up the morning after that hire and had to go to Wikipedia to find out who Nick Nurse was. There's no question about that. Obviously, people around the league kind of knew, and when he got the job, it was a little bit surprising, the direction they went in. You cannot say enough about what he's done because, look, you took a team that won 59 games. It was a #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, okay, and you come in. That's a very difficult thing to replicate. Some people think, well, you take over a talented team, you're supposed to win. No, it's really hard because they established a rhythm with Dwayne Casey. They had that. And then you make this massive trade. You bring in a guy like Kawhi Leonard. You don't know exactly what his personality type is going to be. How's it going to mesh with yours? So it was a lot of pressure on Nick Nurse, and in a lot of ways, people thought all you can do in this situation is screw it up. There's no way you can improve upon it. But yet, he's done it. Now, obviously, the talents of Kawhi Leonard allowed him to do it, but he pushed a lot of the right buttons throughout this entire postseason run to get them to this point. I love some of his late-game play calls. I love some of his defensive adjustments in terms of who he put Kawhi Leonard on at different times in the game without gassing him completely. That's coaching. Also, this is a big one. He had faith in Fred VanVleet when a lot of guys would have shelved him at some point early in the playoffs. He struggled, had a lot going on in his head. He looked like he lost confidence. I don't know too many coaches that would have stuck with him and continued to play him the minutes that he was giving him when he couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. And look at the way Fred VanVleet not only turned his series around, potentially turned the entire season around for the Toronto Raptors the way he played at the end of the series. So that, again, that's coaching. That's a personal decision that you make because you've got a gut feeling and you believe in a guy and you're loyal to him. And a pat on the back goes a long way with a shooter that's struggling.
Absolutely. He believed in VanVleet, and you better believe it, the Raptors are going to the NBA Finals. New on SportsCenter, the Eastern Conference champions are at the podium. Back on SportsCenter. It's gone final. Sure you saw it on your phone, or maybe you were watching, flipping over. Thanks for being with us on SportsCenter on a Saturday night. Giannis' season has come to an end. Drake is wearing a Kawaii River sweatshirt. It never ends, although you kind of wish it would. The Bucks have an early lead in the first. Bledsoe back to Giannis, who finishes, and people have been all over Bledsoe for a less than great series. Giannis doing what he does best. Remember, he said, "We will not fold. We will not fold." There's Giannis showing a little bit of range. And then how about one more time, the kick out to George Hill, who's really come alive here in this series from downtown. 15-2 run for the Bucks to end the first. They lead by 13 after one, needing a win to save their season and head back to Milwaukee for Game 7 on Monday. Look at this ball movement to Ibaka, who finishes. Take another look. Finds himself wide open. And it was other guys besides Kawhi that came up huge. Our Tim Legler will be here to talk about that in just a second. VanVleet just on fire. Continuing what we saw in Game 5 when he had 7 threes, Jurassic Park, is loving it. As John Anderson likes to say, they've only been waiting 65 million years for this. Third quarter, the Euro step, past Gasol. Man, and then Giannis in transition again. People are talking about him as the presumptive MVP, but as Tim and others have said, there have been some holes exposed in his game late. He's doing everything he can to get back stateside. Raptors are in a big hole here. Look at this, they're down 15. Kawhi, it counts, and the foul. Nearing free agency, nearing perhaps another trip to the NBA Finals. And then things started really going right for the Raptors at the end of the third quarter. The end of the third, on a 10-0 run, it continued in the fourth, and it wasn't just Kawhi. It was other guys. Drake loving it. And just like that, Kawhi scored or assisted on the final 10 points of the third. They were great. In the fourth, tight ball game. That 15-point Bucks lead is down to 2. Hang on a second. Ibaka throwing it down. And then Siakam. He's up for the NBA's most improved player. He seems like a great, great bet to win it. The Raptors have now taken the lead. VanVleet working his magic. Masai Ujiri saw something in him a lot of other people did not. His specialty in the last 2 games has been from downtown, especially after he struggled early in the series. Now, Raptors up 6. And then look at this. Superstar over superstar. Leonard throwing it down over Giannis. Leonard and the Raptors go on a 26-3 run from the end of the third into the fourth. About an 8-minute span of clock there. He's loving it. He kind of flamed out with Manziel in Kentucky basketball, but this one's going to work. Raptors lead by 2, under 4 minutes to go. Wow, when's the last time we saw a Kawhi-friendly bounce? From right about there, if I'm not mistaken. Raptors lead by 3, just over 2 minutes to go. Leonard to the rack. Giannis is there, but so is Siakam. Huge block on the initial attempt from Kawhi, but Pascal Siakam there to save the day. Second effort by the Raptors, and they're feeling it at Scotiabank Arena. Raptors by 3, 20 seconds to go. Bucks got to get a stop. The players are confused because the shot clock here apparently never reset. Now take a look at the replay. Ball hits the rim, So obviously that should be a reset. Raptors instead keep the ball, kind of a weird sequence at the end, trying to put the game away. Siakam at the line. Kawhi grabs the rebound. That'll seal it inside. Outside, they're loving it. Leonard gets his biggest rebound of the game to send the Raptors to the NBA Finals for the first time ever. And they joined the league in 1995-96. Michael Wilbon with Fred VanVleet. Look at that reaction north of the border. Wilbon, VanVleet, thanks. The finals begin where we'll see VanVleet Thursday on ABC. Well, that escalated quickly. We mentioned the 26-3 run in the highlights, latter end of the third, where Kawhi either scored and assisted on everything in the final 10 there. And about halfway through the fourth quarter, it was all Raptors, and that's how you erase, as Michael said, a 15-point Bucks lead, and you go to the NBA Finals for the first time ever. Analysis all night long on SportsCenter begins with Tim Legler, 194, the final, and it's just the shots they hit late. With everyone contributing, that was the key.
Yeah, you and I think are going to talk about some of the things that set this up that are critical, but when you talk about the two biggest possessions of the game, let's explain why these things are able to happen. It starts off here. Now, you've got Malcolm Brogdon guarding Kawhi Leonard, but Kawhi Leonard is targeting Brook Lopez, and he wants to make sure that he can come out here, get the screen by Pascal Siakam, come off and attack, and you get the switch. Now, watch the chain of events that happen after he gets the switch. So here comes the screen, comes off. Brook Lopez is guarding him now. As he goes to the rim, Giannis comes over to help right here. But as Kawhi Leonard kicks this ball out, at this point, right now, because Brook Lopez picked him up on the switch, that's your guy. And you see the rest of these guys scrambling. George Hill runs to the corner. You see Malcolm Brogdon sprinting out here to Kyle Lowry. You're going to see Giannis sprint out here. So Brook Lopez now is responsible for Kawhi Leonard. The rest of this possession, but you can see what happens. He watches Kyle Lowry, and his natural instincts as a shot blocker take over. So he runs at the rim, and at this point, you see Kawhi Leonard's got his hand up. He's just going to float over here to the three-point line. Because you can wonder, like, how does Kawhi get open on a play like this with such a critical time? You see the chain of events that happened all started with the switch. Kawhi Leonard continuing to chase the basketball. That was a little Steph Curry, Klay Thompson like there. You pass it, you chase it, you get to a spot. Now, next biggest shot of the game right here, and you can't say enough about this effort. I mean, look at that block by Giannis Antetokounmpo. But again, it's the greatness of Kawhi Leonard. He draws three. Now, luck is involved in this game sometimes, Zubin. This ball is going to come straight down on the floor rather than kick out where one of these guards can get it. It goes straight down. You see Pascal Siakam. One of these two guards has to go down here and chip on him. It happened so quick. I'm not saying they're to blame, but that's the only way they can come up with this loose ball, because you got two guys going for the block, and the ball goes straight down on the floor. The only place it could go for Pascal Siakam to pick that up, immediately off his feet, didn't bring it down, which is smart, gets the putback. Two biggest baskets of the game right there. It helped Toronto seal the deal and get to the NBA Finals for the first time.
1995-96, they entered the league. Their whole MO has been not being able to get over the hump, not being able to get past LeBron. LeBron is out of the East. They take advantage. Full postgame to come. Mike Budenholzer, Nick Nurse, Giannis, Kawhi on the way. I want to talk to you about guys not named Kawhi that stepped up. You just heard Wilbon with VanVleet. Siakam's up for most improved player. What do you make of the team effort in not saying, Kawhi, come rescue us tonight?
I took 22 pages of notes on this game.
22.
Virtually wrote something down on every possession of the entire game. And what I wrote at the start of the fourth quarter at the top of the page was Giannis and Kawhi both out of the game. Thought it was a key stretch. And the way the Toronto Raptors answered that string of possessions set up the late game heroics by Kawhi Leonard. Here's what I'm talking about. Starts off with a Fred VanVleet drive. You're talking about a guy turning his series around. Now you get the kick out. Lowry, great ball movement. Norman Powell in the corner for a wide open three. Great penetration by Lowry. Hits Serge Ibaka. So the third guy now with a key basket. And now Siakam off the simple ball screen. Great decision by Lowry. The short floater, the fourth different player to score. And then this one right here, the cherry on top of that Sunday is VanVleet with the sidestep. James Harden like three. So that's what, 10 points, 5 trips, or 12 points on 5 trips with Kawhi Leonard sitting on the bench. you can't say enough about what that meant to the complexion of this game. You know, Giannis is out also, but Giannis isn't the dominant offensive player that Kawhi is.
No.
You wonder with Toronto, where is this going to come from right now? Because if he comes back in the game and they're down 8 or 10, this is going to have a different result. So the fact that they not only stemmed the tide, they actually outscored the Bucks, I think 12-2 during that stretch with Kawhi Leonard out of the game so he could get a blow, come in and be great late to help seal the deal.
That says a lot. Tim, hang tight. The NBA had 160-win team this year. It was the Milwaukee Bucks. The finals would have went through Milwaukee if they had gotten there, but they didn't. A bitter pill to swallow for Mike Budenholzer.
Just like to start by congratulating Nick Nurse and his staff and the Toronto Raptors and all their players, their organization. Congratulations to them. They did a heck of a job. You know, it's hard to put into words, you know, how you feel when a season like this ends. I'll save most of it for the team, but I'll say I couldn't be more proud of the way our guys compete, the way they play every night, the way they conduct themselves. This hurts, but what they did in this playoffs tonight against a really good Toronto Raptor team, and to get to the conference finals in the regular season, special season for us. And we feel like we're just getting started. This is the beginning of our journey. And again, I couldn't be more proud of our team. And I don't know that there'll be an opportunity in questions. I would like to thank John Horst and the front office and the job that they did in this setting, in this environment, the roster and everything they did to put together a team that could compete at this level. I couldn't be more thankful and grateful and appreciative of what John Horst, the front office, does, what the ownership does. So I just wanted to say that here in this setting.
Matt Velasquez, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. You guys were up 15 late in the third. They go on that 26-3 run. Just what did you sense from your guys during that stretch? Did you sense them tensing up, or how would you maybe diagnose the struggles in the half court too?
I'm not sure I'll go back and watch this game, at least not for a while. A little bit of both. You know, I felt like we got out in transition. You know, I remember one big play. You know, Giannis gets it on almost a lob and is at the rim and kicks it out, and we miss a wide open three. And my guess is there's going to be some situations where we missed open shots, and there's going to be some dry possessions where we either don't execute well enough, we don't maybe share and pass the ball and play in a crowd. You know, 26-3 run is usually a little bit of everything.
Eric Name, The Athletic. I'm curious, taking a look at the start of that fourth quarter, Giannis is on the bench. When you look back, do you regret maybe not having Giannis out there as they go on that run that ties it up real quick?
No, I mean, it's been a big topic, something, lots of questions. I don't think Giannis playing 44 minutes is the solution. If we can't win with Giannis at, 40 and a half, then Toronto deserves it. At some point he's got to take a break. I think he took a 1-minute break in the third quarter, and he took a minute and a half or 2 minutes. And, credit to Toronto, and it's an area where we got to be better. Giannis was out there for a lot of good things, and part of whatever it is that didn't go our way.
Kane Pittman with the pick and roll, Bud. With 29 seconds left, it's a 3-point game. There's a bit of a differential there with the shot clock. Was that an obvious decision for you to let them run the clock out and try and stop, or what's the thought process when you get there?
No, gosh, it's right, like on that edge. And, we talked a lot about it as a coaching staff and, went into the huddle with the players. And I think it was 29.4, 29.6. So, you feel like there's a 5.5, 6 second differential. And as good as we've been defensively all year to, try and get a stop. You got 5 seconds, 6 seconds to come and score, a 3-point and tie it up. The debate, do you have more possessions and play the free throw game? Like I said, it's just right on the edge, 29.6, 5.4 different, 5.6 difference. We went with trying to get a stop.
I mean, he did an incredible job. By the way, John Horst is Milwaukee's 30-year-old general manager, about 35 years old. So a bright future in the front office and on the floor, but this is not bright at all. for Budenholzer. He has never won an elimination game. He spent 18 years on the bench with Pop, did a great job in Atlanta at the beginning. He's obviously done a great job in his first year with the Bucks. But there he is, 0 for 5 in elimination games, and this one hurts. It could have saved their season, sent it back to Milwaukee for a Game 7. Instead, Game 1 of the NBA Finals will be Thursday on ABC.